Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy that you could join us. Today's Sunday school lesson, we're going to introduce a new subject. We're going to study a particular psalm, Psalm 23. We finished our Easter lessons last week, and now we're going to join the entire church in studying the 23rd Psalm. So for the next few weeks, that'll be our subject matter. And today we'll study Psalm 23, 1 through 3. As you guys know, my name is Mr. Kelly, and I usually like to uh, start with an icebreaker, some kind of silly joke or something like that. But this week I'm going to do something different. I'm going to make a request to you. If you see the slide here, you'll see that the artwork image on there isn't as nice as some of the ones I pull off the internet, but this one is one that I painted myself. I thought I'd like to do a little something different this time, so I created this painting to kind of follow the theme of the 23rd Psalm with green pastures and sheep, etc. What I would like for you to do, if possible, if you have some artwork, and it doesn't have to be 23rd Psalm related, it could be anything that you've done, maybe for a school project, or you just like to draw or paint or take pictures or sculpt or anything like that. If you have that, if you'll take a picture of it and send it to the email that'll be on the last slide, and I'll review that again when we get to the last slide. You'll send it to Miss Martha. She'll send it to me. I'll incorporate it into our lesson the next time that I prepare the lesson in 2 weeks. Right? So I'm really looking forward to seeing some of your artwork. I'm sure that you guys are all talented. I know when we did the art stuff for Easter the last time that we were together, creating those table runners, I was really impressed by all of you, and I look forward to getting some submissions for you that I can include in the next lesson. All right. So without further ado, we're going to get into our lesson. Psalm 23. This week we'll be doing the first 3 verses. So it'll be Psalm 23, 1 through 3. I'd like to do a little bit of introduction though. First thing, what is a psalm? Does anybody know what a psalm is? Okay, well here's what I found, and this is what a psalm is. I think that I took this definition from a couple of different sources and kind of combined them, but I think this is a great explanation. A psalm is like a psalm or a poet, and it's written with the purpose of worshiping God. Many of the Psalms were written by David, including Psalm 23. You're familiar with King David, of David and Goliath, and Israel's second king, King David. Sometimes David's Psalms would be full of grief and sadness, and sometimes David's Psalms would be full of joy and gladness. The Psalms show us that no matter how happy, sad, joyful, or angry that we are, we can always worship God because despite how we feel, God is worthy of to be praised. All right, so here's the first verse, Psalm 23:1. The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. I think that's pretty famous. You probably have heard that before. So Psalm 23:1. The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. We'll have a little bit of discussion here. The image of a shepherd is pretty significant in the Bible. We talked about David, who wrote this psalm, who was king, and David and Goliath. We know that story. So David was a shepherd as a boy, and in fact, when the prophet Samuel came to anoint David to be to be a king. He met David as a little boy, and he was a shepherd. He was out tending the sheep actually when Samuel got to his home, and his father Jesse introduced his 6 other brothers before he got to David, who had to be pulled out from the field. So that made me think: are there any other times or shepherds that you can think of that are in the Bible? Give you a second to think about that. Maybe discuss it with your parents or someone, and then I'll show you the ones that I thought of. All right, so here are some of the shepherds that I thought of. Jesus is known as the good shepherd and is often portrayed as a shepherd, and we're portrayed as his flock. The parable of the good shepherd, we studied that a few weeks ago. Remember the parable of the lost sheep, and the man and the shepherd left behind his 99 and went out and found the other one, and then brought him back, and he was so excited to get that sheep back, that the sheep had so much value to him that he had a party. He rejoiced with all his neighbors. Remember that? And the other one that I thought of was Abel, Cain and Abel, the sons of Adam and Eve. Abel was a shepherd. So, what do you think David means in this when he says, "I shall not want"? I think that's a question that we deserve to get an answer to. What does he mean by "I shall not want"? He doesn't mean that we're going to get everything in life that we want. Doesn't mean, I'd love to have a Mercedes-Benz car. Doesn't mean that I'm going to get one of those. But what it does mean is that with God, all of our needs are going to be met. So all of our needs, physically, but more emotionally and spiritually, all of our needs will be met with God, that He can provide all that we need. So again, it's not everything that we want. We don't get to create a big shopping list for God and hand it over to Him and then expect those things to appear. But the things that we need in life, love and companionship and all of those things can be met through God. Here's the second verse, Psalm 23:2. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. What does the image of green pastures and quiet waters make you think of? And again, I'll give you a minute to have a discussion with your parents or whomever you're viewing this with, and then I'll let you know what I thought about that. Again, I think that means God, the shepherd, providing you with all the things that you need. So, if we think of the green pasture and we look at the painting, we'll see the sheep out there. Some of them are eating and walking around. There's some safety in being in that open space. There's plenty for them to eat. The still waters, they don't have to be concerned with being swept up in a raging current from a river. The waters are still and clean. So again, it's a portrait to me of God providing, or the shepherd providing, all of the needs that are necessary for the sheep or the flock. So we would be the flock, and God would be the shepherd there. Psalm 23:3. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. So our next discussion question is, how do you think David felt while writing this psalm? I can give you a second or two to talk about that with whomever you're with, and then I'll let you know what I think. I think David is happy and grateful that maybe God had delivered him from some difficult time in his life and had taken him to a place where he had all of his needs met, and that's what I think that David is saying there. He's that the Lord is his shepherd, and he is the sheep, and the Lord is providing for him. That's what I think about that. And then next discussion question is, what do you think David means by "He guides me in the path of righteousness for His name's sake"? Yeah, I think in life we have many choices or paths to take, and God, like a shepherd, will guide us on the right path. And I think the older we get, we see more of these. And I was thinking back to the parable of the good shepherd that we studied a couple of weeks ago, and his little sheep had wandered off the path, had left the safety of the flock and in the pasture, and then that shepherd went out to find him. And I think that often, God will guide us onto the right path when we come to decisions in our life. I think that we pray and God answers, and he lets us know which way that he would like us to go. And if we follow his direction, then we'll stay on the right path, making decisions that are pleasing to him. Okay, like I said, here's the last slide. There's Miss Martha's email address there. So if you have any art, again, it doesn't have to be Psalm 23 related. It doesn't have to be sheep in a pasture or anything like that. It can be uh, anything that you've worked on, anything that you like to draw. Send those in to Miss Martha. She'll get them over to me, and we'll include them in the slides uh, for the next time that I do the lesson. So I want to thank you all again for coming. Thank you for the discussion and taking the time to lead this. And I really look forward to seeing your artwork and getting that included in our next group of slides. Until we meet again, I want to thank you and tell you that I love you very much, and that I am praying for each of you. I'm praying for our class, and I look forward to the time when we can meet again in person. Until that time, we'll keep doing it this way, though. All right. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.